Okay, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the RIAH Experience Webinar. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday afternoon with me today. Thank you for registering and attending the webinar today. What is the RIAH Experience Webinar? So this is going to be a series of webinars where I'll be sharing nuggets around planning events, planning weddings, but most especially planning weddings because that's more of the area that I'm into. Before we start, well, today's topic, we're going to be talking about the real truth about planning events and weddings. This was one of the topics that I had, and then based on my audience's choice, this was the most chosen one for us to discuss today. So yes, hopefully, I hope you enjoyed today. So before I start, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Tobi Yusuf. I'm married with two beautiful girls. RIAH Event was founded through my passion for always wanting to offer a helping hand to people around me. It was founded through my desire to problem solve. So in any environment I find myself, I'm always that person. If anything is going wrong, I'm very quick to take action. I'm very quick to provide solutions. I don't believe in dwelling on the problems and then, let's just forget about the problem and let's solve the problem. So that's my desire, and it's also my passion as well. So my calm personality is also what made me start RIAH Events. That's all about me. So just without further ado, I'm going to start talking about the main reason why you're here today. Today I'm going to be sharing again, like I said, and then also I've got two beautiful couples. We just got married just over a month ago. Who will be sharing with us their experiences around their wedding, how they were able to plan a wedding with COVID, with everything going on. So please stay tuned and grab a cup of water, a cup of tea, and enjoy. I'm going live on Instagram as well. So if anyone on Instagram, if you like to participate, if you like to interact, please join the webinar, because on Instagram, I'm not going to be able to interact as much. So wedding planning, event planning, what are the challenges that you face when all of this starts, when you start planning? The first thing is finances. And this is not even wholly around weddings or events. It's in our everyday life. Money is the biggest topic. When it comes to finances, you have to be honest with yourself, and be it a birthday party, or even if you're planning a wedding with your partner, you need to sit down together and discuss your budget, know where you both stand on how you want to spend things. I know it can be tricky. For example, for myself, when I was getting married, I wasn't comfortable enough to talk to my husband about how much we want to spend, because I had this big goal of, how I wanted my wedding to be like. But my husband, on the other hand, he just wanted to get married. So I was a bit cautious of telling him how much we were going to spend. And it caused a lot of argument, a lot of fights in the end. So, being honest with your budget, knowing how much you want to spend and writing it down, even if your budget is, I'm just using £1,000 now, write it down and walk towards that. Because at the end, there is no way, you can't tell anybody that you don't have a budget. You should have a budget. Because when you say you don't have a budget, and then as a planner, I come to you and I say, okay, I found a decorator, she's going to charge £10,000. And then you go, what? That's a lot of money. But I thought you said you didn't have a budget. So that's why I'm giving you £10,000. So, it's always good to have a budget listed for everything that you want to do. And also, with that budget as well, always bear in mind that there are so many hidden costs around planning anything, birthdays, weddings most especially. So it's always good to put 10 to 15% extra of your budget. So if you say you want to spend £60,000 in your wedding, that's okay. You don't have to spend the whole of the £60,000, but at least you have that budget, and then you can work within that budget. Even with that £60,000, like I said, you need to put 10 to 15% extra on top of that to avoid any hidden costs. As a planner, I'm very familiar with hidden costs, things that come across. But if you're on here and you're thinking of you're planning your wedding yourself, There are hidden costs like suppliers' food. So when you hire your vendors, and if you're having a seated meal plan whereby the caterer is charging you per head, then you have to think about your suppliers. You have to include that fee, the cost into your supplier's meal as well. So there's a little hidden cost that you don't think about, and then towards the end, they just start popping in. With finances as well, what you need to understand is the little cost that just adds up. I, for one person, when I go into Tesco for my weekly grocery shopping, I have a target, I have a budget of how much I want to spend, but I usually spend more because I just end up seeing things that I want, or I look at my bank statement and I see £5, £10, and then they just add up. And that's how the budget just increases. So yes, finances, it's a big topic. It's something that you should feel comfortable to discuss with your partner. It's something that you should feel comfortable to discuss with your planner as well. You know, if you have a wedding planner, if you have an event planner, always feel comfortable, always feel free to discuss those costs around. So just moving on, the next challenge that you may face as well is vendors. As a planner, you know, when you get inquiries from clients and you give them a fee of, let's say, £10,000, they get worried, oh, that's a lot of money, and then they start shopping around. So you then want to cut corners, you want to find a vendor that is cheaper, but bearing in mind that it's not about the price you're being offered. You have to think about the quality of the service that you're going to be provided with. By cutting corners, by finding a vendor that's cheaper, you have to be mindful of a vendor that would overpromise but then underdeliver. So you don't want to go through that route. And even with the vendor as well, you might then start thinking of cutting corners. And that's something to be really mindful of, because what will happen is when you hire a family friend, you're more or less hiring a professional, because at the end of the day, they are doing the work and they're not enjoying the moment with you as your guest, as a family member. So that's when you're just trying to cut corners, it just comes to bite you at the end of the day. So it's always good to be mindful of that. Moving on as well, the other challenges that you may face is, as your wedding planner or a birthday planner or event planner, anything, we have checklists. And as your planner, we're always making sure that every checklist is ticked, making sure that as we go along, we're ticking things off and we're informing each other that things have been ticked off, this has been done. But should you be planning your wedding as well yourself, or planning any event by yourself, you have to be very mindful of your checklist. You don't want to put things last minute. You don't want to load things up last minute. So it's always good to have that checklist, have timelines to everything. So shall I say, in 2 months' time, get my nails done. So, you know, if just little minor things like that, they do matter, because if you don't do it within that timeline, then you find yourself pushing it towards your event date, and then that just causes a lot of anxiety to yourself. So it's always good to have your checklist being checked regularly, and avoid loading things, like putting too much things on your to-do list. And because what then happens is you then have to move them last minute and start doing them last minute, and that's not what you want to do, that's not what you want to achieve. So it's always good to be mindful of that. Don't save too much for last minute. Work on your timeline, work on your checklist, tick them as you go along. And moving on as well, you will forget about the weather. These are the challenges that a lot of people face, weather. And I'm sure if you're in London, London weather is not a type of weather that we can trust. It's not the type of place where you can say that I want to have an outdoor wedding. You've always got to have a backup plan. You always have to think about the weather, like what's going to happen in the head. Even if you're going to do it abroad, anything can happen anytime. I remember this time last year, in October, or I think it wasn't raining in October last year or in September, but look at us this year. There's been so many rain, there's been wind. So weather, even though you might think that, oh, this is nothing, it's just weather, it plays a big role on your wedding day. I mean, if you don't want rain, then you have to be mindful of that should it rain on your wedding day. And the next thing is, you will fight. you know, there will be disagreement between you, your partner, your family members, your friends, because what's going to happen is it's your wedding day, which I'm going to use wedding as an example. As when you have friends, as soon as you get engaged, you have your friends, you have your family members calling you, say congratulations, or what are you doing now, or where you going to get married? Have you chosen a date? You know, you start getting opinions from everybody, and then you just get worked up, and with your partner as well, you just start thinking, okay, what are we doing? And there will be so many opinions from everyone. I mean, it's like when I became a mom, first-time mom, there's so many opinions around feeding my baby. There were so many opinions around how my baby should sleep. You know, don't give this to your baby. This is the type of food I should give to my baby. Breastfeeding is good for your baby. So that's the same thing with planning an event or anything. Everybody would want to give their opinion on why they think you should get married, how they think you should do things. Even outside your family members and friends, you and your partner, you have to think about it this way. These are two people you're both from different families. You would want something different, you would want something different. So you always have to find a way to balance that understanding. And it just goes back to finances, well, it goes back to your budget. Once you have that understanding between yourself, then you can avoid the fight. But should the fight come, just take a break. Just, you know, take a break off planning. Forget about planning if it's 2 days, and just discuss something else. Talk about the first time you met. Talk about your future, how you want your future to be, and just focus on that and come back to wedding planning. Recently, I went on a site visit with a client, and the venue manager was telling us about a story of how she's been working with the wedding planner and the bride. And that's what happens most of the time. Brides tend to take over the wedding planning, and then the groom is sort of left behind. Some grooms get involved. Some grooms would say, you know, whatever the bride wants, but then that can be tricky when the groom says whatever the bride wants. So yeah, moving back to my story. So this venue manager's been dealing with the wedding planner and the bride. They've agreed on everything. So I think what happened was then the bride went back to the groom. So the groom must have disagreed on something. So he then contacted the venue and said, oh, can I have this? Can I do this? And the venue manager was like, of course you can, but that's not what we discussed with the wedding planner and the bride. So she was stuck in the middle. So she had to then call the wedding planner. Oh, please, I've just got a message from the groom, but you know, this is going back against what we discussed already. What do I do? So you want to try and avoid those sort of fights, those sort of argument before your wedding day. So it's always good to be mindful of that any little fight might occur, any little disagreement might occur with anybody, and you just have to be ready to face those and deal with them. And again, should they come, you just have to then find a way to just take a break, go somewhere else and just not talk about weddings. So yeah, finally, I think the last nugget that I'm going to share is just always remember that it's your day. It's your wedding day. Always remember the reason why you're getting married, because sometimes you might find yourself that you start losing perspective. You start losing perspective of the reason why you're getting married. You start losing focus, because in this day and age, social media is where everybody wants to be, where everybody wants to go. You go on social media, you go on Instagram, and then you start finding inspirations. You start finding things that you'd like. Sorry, I'm just reading. Sorry, I'm just reading comment on Instagram. This is going to be distracting. So yeah, so you start seeing things on Instagram, and you be like, you want that, and then forgetting about that budget, because you see something on Instagram, and you know your wedding planner, or perhaps you're planning your wedding yourself, you see that, and then you're like, I want that, and then the wedding planner, they give you a quote and it's £10,000. Oh, that's not within my budget. Or you start thinking, okay, maybe I can make it work. But don't forget, you already have a budget. Don't forget that you and your partner already discussed that this is what you want. So you have to be really mindful not to lose perspective of why you're getting married, not to lose perspective of why you and your husband to be, your wife to be, have agreed to choose one another as husband and wife. Always remember as well that your guests that are coming, fair enough, you know, you're going to feed them, but they're coming for you. It's your wedding day, it's your day. What is the key element for you at your wedding? When I meet up with my clients, that's one thing I always ask them. What is the key element for you at your wedding day? What is it that you want to take away at your wedding? What's most important for you? Is it food? Is it guest experience? Is it a venue? Is it having entertainment? So you always have to remember that, always have that at the back of your mind. And with the current situation right now, there's so many like different news, different guidelines. 1 minute we can have 30 guests, the next minute we're having 15. And this is the time for you to start thinking, what do I want for my wedding? What do I want as a couple? What are the key elements for me at my wedding? Because at a wedding or at any event right now, there's got to be variable elements to it. Right now, you can't put your mind to your date. Should you have chosen a date for your wedding, let's say today, 17th of October, it's your wedding day, you have to be ready to move that wedding date if anything comes. So those are the variable elements. Your wedding date, your venue, you have to be ready to change that should anything happen. So you always have to keep that at the back of your mind with the current situation now. Remember what is special to me and my partner. What do we want to get away from this? What do we want to take away from this? Aside the variable element as well, we do have fixed elements. You know, fixed element like I'm saying now, key elements to your wedding. The style of your wedding. How do you want your wedding day to be like? Be it 10 people, be it 15 people, it doesn't matter. It's what's important to both of you. That's what should matter to you. That's how you should take on your wedding, your event, anything you're doing. So that's something to always put at the back of your mind, that what am I here for? What am I doing today? What is the purpose of us getting married? Or even if it's your birthday party, why am I celebrating my birthday? Why am I celebrating my 30th? You know, so you should always have a key element to any event you're planning, to anything you're doing. Always remember that. But yeah, I think that's what we're not going to have for you today anyway, in terms of challenges faced. There's so many challenges around planning a wedding, planning an event. That's one of the reasons why some people would want to hire a wedding planner or an event planner like myself, to sort of take off the burdens for them or help them out with the challenges if it's getting too much for them. So that's all about, you know, challenges faced around planning events and weddings. Today, I've got two beautiful couples with me today who recently got married. So I will be bringing them on board as well to just come and share with us their experiences around planning a wedding, if they faced any challenges and what they did to overcome these challenges. And also with COVID, how did they plan a wedding with COVID? What did they do? How did that go? So they will be sharing their experiences with us today. But before I bring up my couple, I thought it would be good to just lighten up the mood, play a bit of game on here before we then go into the serious part. But at the same time, just bear in mind that there will be Q&A session. So should you have any questions, please use the Q&A box and we'll look at them during the Q&A session. So now, please, if you're ready, we're going to play some game, a little bit of game, to just lighten things up a little bit. So I'm just going to do that. Just bear with me, please. Please just give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it so far. Just thumbs up, thumbs up. So with this game, you need to be able to either have the app or join using kahoot.it and then play on there. So to join the game, or to play the game, you can join using www.kahoot as you see on the screen, or you can join using the app. So we're just going to wait for some players. So if you need to, again, if you need to send questions, use the Q&A. And should you want to ask your question by speaking, I'll just need to unmute you, and then, you know, we could take it from there. One second. Okay, I see 3 people have joined. We'll wait for more people to join. And if you're on Instagram, if you'd like to play the game as well, just register through the link and join us on Zoom. Okay, I'll just wait for more people to join. So the way this game is going to work is, on my screen, you'll be able to see the questions. The questions and the answers will be displayed. And then on your screen, you would only see the color codes to the answers. So what you need to do is, when you see the question on my screen and then you have your answer ready, you just need to select the color that matches the answer. Okay, I see more people joining, so we just keep waiting and wait for more people to join. And if you're having issues joining, just, you know, drop a message on the chat box. Okay, I think when we get to 10 or more, I'll start the game. Anyone having issues to join, or are we all okay joining? Okay. Okay. Shall we start? I think we should just give it a start, yeah. I have a special prize for the winner. So whoever is going to be the winner, I will contact them after the webinar. So yes, so I hope you can all see the questions. You've got 20 seconds for each question. So just look at the screen, select your answer on your phone using the color. Okay. Next question. Who's winning? Scoreboard, Remy. What wedding tradition is this? Yep. Everyone got this one. Next question. Okay, okay, the answers are coming in. Yep. Okay, I think there is a battle between KD, the Rapleys, and Remy. What wedding tradition is this? Okay, now Remy's back up. Next. What was the original meaning of the word bride? So the original meaning of the word bride was kiss, I mean, cook. After the ceremony, the bride and groom kissed due to what Roman believe. Just checking messages. Oh, my questions don't show to Rebecca. Rebecca, if you can see my screen, then you should be able to see the questions, Rebecca. So the questions won't show on your phone. The questions will be on the screen of the Zoom. You might have to go between Zoom and the app, unfortunately, if you're using your phone. To ask for a hand in marriage comes from what custom? Placing of the ring on the finger. Yes, Rebecca, that's what you have to do, unfortunately, with Kahoot. That's the way it is. It's either you switch from the app and Zoom, or you join the game using another device. The song, Here Comes the Bride, here comes the bride, here comes the bride. Let's see who's going to get it. Yep, an opera. Oh, we only got four people got it right. I hope we're enjoying this. A little bit of games. Old custom says if your bride see what before she get married, it's good luck. I wasn't too sure about this, but I mean, that's what the custom says. So, you know, we'll just go with it. Okay, we need to enlarge the screen. The game is great for people to see the questions properly. So can you please enlarge the screen? Thank you. So to join in on the game, I'm not sure if you can still join in now, but to join in, you go on www.kahoot.it. Let me just put that up there again. Sorry. That's how to join the game. Okay, we're nearly there. Which of the following is not a type of bridal bouquet? I hope we're all okay with the screen now. I think so. Instagram, this is RIAH Events Webinar. The webinar is going on Zoom right now. So if you'd like to participate, register and join us on Zoom. And to register, you can register using the link on my bio on my Instagram page. The custom of carrying the bride over the threshold originated from what we would believe? Yes, both. It's all about Hebrew spirit. The Rapleys are winning. The bride family sit well during the ceremony. And there's a reason behind this. There's a reason behind the bride family sitting on this side of the aisle. Yeah, let's see. Well, 5 people got it right. Yeah, left side. The whole idea is that the groom needs to keep his right hand free for anything that may come, or to chase men off, to chase evil spirit off. So that's the whole idea. A chapel length veil is what? 9, 8. How many more questions? Keep playing, even if you're losing, just keep playing. At least you're learning something new. No one got the answer. Five more to go. The world's largest bridal store is located in which city? I remember when I was getting married, I wanted to visit this bridal store just because, yes, the location and because of the store. I really wanted to visit that store to get my wedding dress, but no, I didn't visit. No, I didn't go there. Yeah, it's New York. Clenfield Bridal, it's called. There's this show, Say Yes to the Dress, I think it was. That's how I saw it. But yeah, I didn't get my wedding dress from there. When should you send out your wedding invitations? I mean, this is what it's ideal. If you want to send it way before then, there is no harm, but ideally this is the best time, 6 to 8 weeks before the wedding. Remy and the Rapleys. 3 more questions. A wedding favor is what? Yeah, I mean, the African tradition is that you always have to give a wedding favor. You always have to give something, almost. Yes, a little gift given to the guests as a token of the wedding. Remy, you're a superstar. The wedding cake symbolizes what? The Holy Trinity, a chair of good fortune, happiness and blessings, fertility. Okay. Giveaways at a wedding. Yes. A lot of people chose a chair of good blessings. According to tradition, brides wear veils because, yes, I found this funny. I mean, there were 2 traditions. There were 2 reasons behind this, which I found really interesting. Oh, they protect them against any evil spirit. Yeah. I find a lot of these traditions, a lot of these things go around about evil spirit. Yeah. What style of wedding dress is this? And this is for all the brides to be on, yeah? What style of dress do you think this is? Just reading comments on Instagram. Let's see if anyone. Yeah, we got one answer. Well, someone got it right. Yay! That's the end of the game. KD, well done, KD. The Rapleys. And then the winner is Remy. Congratulations, Remy. You have a special surprise, a special prize for me. Thank you all for playing the game. I hope that was a little bit of fun for you all. So just before moving on, I was just reading comment about one of the things mentioned was that, you know, when I was talking about fighting or forgetting about wedding plans and just taking a break, we had a comment from Favor Catering and Events saying, set aside a day not to talk about wedding planning. One day a week not to talk about wedding planning. That's so true. Because what you just find is Sunday to Sunday, back and forth. All you're just talking about is wedding planning. But yeah, so set a day a week not to talk about it. So yes, thanks for that. And also, you know, whilst we're talking about the cake, about what the game of the cake, Favor said the first food shared at a wedding for a bride and groom. Yes, wedding cake, you know. In African tradition, the bride will kneel down to feed her husband. It's a show of respect. So yes, thank you all for playing that. Which position is Angel, please? Well, there were only 3 positions, first, second, and third. I'm not sure which position Angel was. If Angel's position wasn't showing on yet, then that just means Angel was at the bottom. Sorry. Okay, so just moving on to the next thing. So right here, I have with me Mr. and Mrs. Rapley. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. Thank you for coming online to share your experience with bride and grooms on here. Dwayne, I know it was your birthday yesterday, so thank you very much. Happy birthday once again. Thanks for spending that time of your birthday weekend with me here. So Dwayne and Rapley, I'm going to leave the floor open for you to just talk to our people on your experience with your wedding. How did you find planning for, I think it was about 250 to 300 guests, and then, you know, shifting it out to 30 guests. So yes, Mr. and Mrs. Rapley, welcome.
Thank you. Do you want to go first?
No, you're good.
It's always me going first. Yeah, so we got engaged in 2019, and then we had in mind that we were gonna plan for a year and then have our big Sierra Leonean and Jamaican wedding in May 2020. And then all the plans were fine, you know, we'd finished majority of the planning. January, we were ready, like, yeah, a couple months to go. And then obviously there was the announcement of the pandemic, and we just thought, oh, okay, well, we should be all right, you know, May should be fine. And then obviously a nationwide lockdown. So I remember just being sat there looking at Dwayne thinking, and I was very much like, yeah, we could probably still be okay, you know, May should be fine. And Dwayne was like, we need to have a contingency plan. And I didn't want to hear it because, you know, everything was falling into place. Yeah. You know, we were so happy, we were so ready to start our lives together. So I wasn't really like, no, we don't need to, everything is fine. But then we kind of got struck with the reality that actually it may not happen in May. So we started to, you know, align ourselves with all our vendors, contact our vendors to let them know this is, they were obviously well aware of what was going on, because it was, as much as it was affecting brides and grooms, it was affecting vendors as well. Yeah. And we just basically looked for an alternative date, thinking, yeah, August will be fine. Yeah, you know, everyone was saying, yeah, by April, everything will be fine or whatever. So we pushed everything back. And I just think, you know, by God's grace, we were able to align with all of our vendors and move to another date. Thinking that we'd be able to have our 250/300 people wedding in August. And then obviously we're in lockdown for how many months, and then we were patiently anticipating whether we'd actually get married in August. And then as August came, prior to that, Boris had obviously put a ban on weddings, so we didn't really know if we were going to get married, but we said, let's keep August anyway, just in case. And then when weddings were allowed, they were like, yeah, 30 people. And we just thought, 30 people, like our bridal party alone was what, 18, so the two sides, 18, and then our immediate family, and, you know, all our family abroad who'd like booked their tickets and stuff. So it seemed like virtually impossible at the start, isn't it, to get down to 30 people. But what we then said was, okay, on our actual day, we'll do just like a blessing on this new date that we have, and we will have our bridal party there, our parents there, and Dwayne's godparents, and we got up to our 30, and that 30 had to include the registrar, the photographer, not the staff employed by the building. So we kind of had to work our way around getting that 30. But then an alternative also was that we could live stream it. So we basically live streamed it on YouTube, and I'd say we ended up having more people attending our wedding that day. But the plan is we've postponed our celebrations until next year. Originally it was like, okay, let's look at April, but with the latest update from the government saying that we'll be sort of under tight restrictions for the next 6 months, we're now in a position where we're like, okay, let's sort of not, put a date early next year yet, because we may not be able to reach our 250, 300 guests. So the plan is to, later on next year, God's willing, we'll be able to have like an anniversary celebration and celebrate like that. So, yeah.
Well done for everything you've done. I mean, it was really tough, but you've made that decision, and that's what I was saying earlier. You made that decision to have your blessing with 30 people. That's what was important for you. You just wanted to get married. There's some people who still want to wait for their celebration and not doing anything at all. But you and Dwayne agreed to do that. Between yourselves, it was an agreement, and you're both happy with it. Look at you here now. You are Mr. and Mrs. Rapley, regardless. You're married. So next year, like you said, you can make that as your 1-year wedding anniversary. But again, we don't know what's going to happen next year. We're hoping and praying that things will get better. But like I said, variable element. Don't know. You've had to move your wedding day like 3 times now, haven't you? So be prepared for that in any situation. If you're planning a wedding on here now, be prepared that you might have to change date, and the venue that you wanted might not work. For your 30 guest blessings, you did at your church, and then you moved to the back of your garden to have the celebration, and that worked well for you. That's the picture we're displaying right now. You look happy, you look beautiful. So yes, well done. But I don't know if you had the challenges I was discussing earlier on. Would you say whilst planning your wedding, any of this happened to both yourselves?
Because you mentioned about sort of like knocking heads and having disagreements like during the planning. I think the lockdown sort of heightened it, isn't it? Like, it heightened it a lot, because there was just more tension, more frustration. Like, we both want this day to work out, but we're both upset. We're both almost like grieving in a weird way, because we have this big special day where all our family's going to get together. So in a similar way, we had days where we just said, let's not talk about the wedding, let's just go for a walk, let's do our Boris recommended 30 minutes of exercise and just go go out. But did you want to talk about the finance element of
I mean, that was a bit of a struggle, because we're so dependent on what the government's saying and what we think they might mean from what they're saying as well. So trying to understand what the best thing to do is, trying to almost look into the future and bear that in mind for the decisions that we're making when it comes to moving things on, and talking to our vendors and seeing what their availability is like as well. So for me, I mean, approaching the wedding anyway, I was like, I'm not gonna just leave it all to Shiv to take care of. I want to be able to have an active responsibility in managing some of it. So for me, I was like, Shiv can have whatever she wants, but I'm just, as long as there's a budget attached to it, and as long as it's within the budget, she can run around and I can oversee it. So,
that's good.
So managing it on a financial point of view, I was just like, anything that we decide has to be looked at with strong consideration. We have to figure out what the options are, and then pick out the best option based on whether we can afford it financially, and whether it's still a possibility, whether it's legal and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of considerations that we took, because we didn't want to, as much as it is our wedding and we're emotionally attached to it. We have to kind of make sensible decisions, especially during this time, to make sure that our guests are going to be safe, that we're going to be safe, that we can sit back and be like, this was the best decision of our lives and we made it work for us. At the same time, not getting persecuted for it. So
that's such a great point. You know, let's not get carried away with the celebration. We have to think about the health and safety of our guests, of yourself as well. I mean, you don't want after your wedding people saying, oh, I'm sick, or anything like that. So it's always good to bear that in mind. But yes, thank you very much. So Mr. and Mrs. Rapley will still be on here. Should you have any questions, just drop them in the Q&A box and then we'll be able to answer them after this session. So thank you, Dwayne and Siobhan, for coming on. I'm just going to invite our next beautiful couple, Mr. and Mrs. Salvo. You know, with this couple, I was so taken aback with them, with their courage and their boldness for going ahead with their wedding. Their wedding was in Italy. They got married in Italy more than a month ago. And I mean, I'm sure most of us on here have been following the news. Initially, when the lockdown started, Italy was one of the countries that was affected the most. So when I saw this couple get married in Italy, I was like, wow. So yes, Mr. and Mrs. Sabo, thank you for joining us today. So please do share your experience, you know, around planning your wedding, how you were able to deal with your wedding planning and getting yourself and your guests in Italy. So thank you, welcome, and thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hello, thanks for having us. Can you see us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, we're still taking it in because it was a lot. This whole period with COVID coming in up, as we know, it's affected a lot of people and their weddings as well and other things. Gosh, when do we start with this one?
Well, this year, I guess. Okay, so I guess, well, you know, we got engaged in like 2018, so towards the end of 2018. Actually, the end of 2018, and then you know, we started the planning from January last year, 2019. So everything was going smoothly, and you know, all we had to deal with was, you know, the stress of family and all of that. And then 2020 hit, and 2020 hit, and okay, things were going a little bit steady, and then March, end of February, March became a nightmare. You know, Italy was all over the news, and it just seemed like, what is going on? Like, what are we gonna do? You know? So we didn't actually conclude on what we were going to do until like very later on, till like June, because we're still watching it. But then, you know, some of our guests were saying, oh my gosh, are you guys okay? What's gonna happen? We're just like, we don't know. And also we were sharing with Toby that, you know, as Christians, because we're Christians, our instructions from God was that, you know, we were going to get married in 2020, and you know, the date that we had picked and everything was set. And so it was, you know, seemed quite impossible, because Tim had shared this with me like when
2018
that we're getting married in 2020. This is what God said to him. So when all of this was happening, it was just like
that's what we had, isn't it? Sure? That's all we had to go on.
Like, God, did you really say that, God?
Oh, that always comes up. You know, when everything's coming at you, whether it be thick or fast, or you just see the mountain ahead of you, it's just like, all right, Italy's got this the pandemic has hit not only Italy, but it's hit a lot of countries. Like, are you sure? You know, then, you know, we had to just continue to speak life into it and continue to remind each other that this is what we believe in God for, and you know, this is what our marriage will be founded upon, that we only will rely on God only. So
Well,
so a lot of prayers definitely went into from like March. Well, I mean, prayer even before, but you know, hardcore prayers
started like in
that's
in March, and just being positive and just trusting, literally, as we were saying, like it was for us, it was like walking on water, because we didn't actually know where we were going, what this day was going to be like, if it was going to happen. We were just walking blindly, and it was so blind that people around us were just like, what are you guys doing? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like our parents as well, like, this doesn't make any sense. What are you doing?
Oh, you did it.
And
you did it.
Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, it went through, and not only, you know, we were only hoping for that one wedding, but we ended up having our traditional, and, you know, it was a whole nice event, registry, it was a whole nice event, and then going to Italy, you know, all bang, bang, bang. So we were super grateful to God that in a pandemic, we ended up having 3 weddings.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, Italy was like the icing on the cake.
Well done. That's very beautiful story. Very beautiful story. So, well, again, I'm not sure if you had some of the challenges I shared. Did you face any of that? I know you mentioned dealing with families. So did you have to deal with a little bit of challenge or challenges whilst planning your wedding?
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and so I take that a lot. Okay. Well, so they do happen. I mean, it's just to so that it's just a point that yes, these things do happen. But you know, you are here today. Looking at your pictures, you look beautiful on your wedding day. I mean, I was caught to those pictures. That's why I reached out to you. That you looked amazing. Nobody would know that you had any challenges, but it's just about how you overcome those challenges. And again, it's about you holding on to what you want, what you've said to yourself, what is it for your wedding, and you still did it. So yes, well done. And congratulations once again, Mr. and Mrs. Sabo and Mr. and Mrs. Rapley. You both got married getting up to 2 months now. So yes, well done for doing it. So, you know, to all the brides and groom on here, this is just to show you that anything is possible. You can be celebrated, you can have your wedding. Looking at these pictures, they look happy. They live together now, they're husband and wife, and that's what matters. The life after the wedding is what matters. So yeah, we've got 5 minutes now to the end of the session, so we're just going to take some questions quickly. So, you know, should you have any questions for myself or for the couple, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box, or if you want to speak. So I'm just going to look at the questions on here. Okay, first question. Do you think that if I had a small wedding now, that the excitement for a big party in future after COVID would fizzle? I mean, I'm going to throw this to both of you, Mr. and Mrs. Sabo and Mr. and Mrs. Rapley. No, seeing that you've done your small wedding, well, I think maybe I'll do it for Mr. and Mrs. Rapley, because Mr. and Mrs. Sabo, you're done with your wedding celebration now. So for you, you've done the small wedding, and now that you're looking forward to next year, do you think that excitement would fizzle, or would you still have that bubbles in yourself?
I'm still excited because we put a lot of planning and a lot of effort into it, and you know, our bridal party are equally as excited. You know, on our actual wedding day this August, it was very small, intimate. You know, we told our bridal party, you know, don't wear your suits, don't wear your dresses. So when we do celebrate, it will be like a big excitement party, so on and so. Yeah. Dance battles, you know. But I don't think that the excitement will fizzle, because it's yeah.
Thank you for that. That answers it. So if you're on here, if you're thinking of having a small wedding and celebration later, it won't fizzle. So for this question is for Mr. and Mrs. Sabo. How many guests were you originally expecting, and how many did you have at your wedding?
Should I take this one?
Yeah.
We originally max looked to have 120 max, but then we had half of that. We had 60.
Okay, that's the work. But with that 60, did you have to cut it down, or did you just have guests that pulled out?
No, so thankfully, we in that part of Italy, which was in the south, there was hardly the COVID cases were not as much as in the north. Okay. And plus another perk was that all our wedding events were outdoors. So initially, I mean, we didn't change anything. So the venue was quite open to us just having our original numbers, which was 120. But the problem on our side was that some of our guests were still a bit iffy about Italy, which was completely understandable. Then the children, I mean, we were supposed to have what do you call it? Well, flower girls. Flower girls, that's it, yeah. So the flower girls' parents and them, they couldn't come either. So things like that, due to school and stuff. So for different reasons, mostly COVID, some people decided not to come, but joined us on the Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, Zoom. Yeah. I mean, that works well. I mean, what I was going to say as well is technology is the way forward now. You know, the celebration you're going to have now, we're moving, even with the current guidelines of 6-month lockdown, you can still go ahead with the 15 and just move into technology. You know, Zoom, like we're doing now, or have FaceTime, WhatsApp, anything, and just have that, you know, incorporated into any event that you have. But yes, it's beautiful to see 60 guests is still doable. And that's the other thing, you know, as a planner, if you're on here, anybody good morning, looking to get married and you're so unsure, you know, we'll be able to put you through how this can happen for you. Like Mr. and Mrs. Salva just said, they had 120, the venue was willing to go ahead with 120, you know, outdoors, socially distant. So it's possible, it's doable. Just last question. Any challenges when planning your wedding abroad? Mr. and Mrs. Salvo, any challenges? Maybe if you just share one quickly.
I think more so that because you're not in the country, you have to solely just rely on your wedding planner to communicate on your behalf and make sure what you envision for the wedding is actually being communicated through. So whereas it wasn't so much of a challenge, I think we were very favored in that sense that my darling wife has a very, very creative very creative skills. So whereas like all of the things that you saw, to me, if you ask me colors, I would be purple, blue, red, simple. When she was coming back to me with colors, I was like, eh? But at the same time, she managed to get the message across to the wedding planner effectively, and that's where we were fortunate to have a beautiful wedding. So in that sense, it's just making sure you're on top of things.
Yeah, I won't say that we had major challenges. Our wedding planner spoke both perfect English and Italian, which was quite helpful. We wanted an Italian wedding planner, just for ease. No, they made everything quite smooth for us. It was, you know, I can't think of any major challenges except for the uncertainty with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because, okay, actually, I remember that. So because we literally found out in July this year that our wedding could go ahead. And so having a destination wedding, having 2 months to sort of restart planning again was major, was very, very hectic, and put everyone's emotions at 100%. So I think that was the major challenge, because we had such a short space of time. Financially, it was a headache. Just planning everything was a serious headache, because it was like, you know, start, you know, and it was non-stop. So I think that was very, very hectic and challenging. And also another thing, Italy, they have in that part of Italy, they have a very slow culture in terms of, you know, life is good, why rush, you know, don't take, you know, why are you rushing, why are you taking your time? So when you send an email, like my wedding planner will chase up on different things, and they would come back to you like 2 weeks later. So things it seemed quite rushed and last minute. A lot of the things, because they just take their time. So that was a bit frustrating. And but it was fine. I mean,
you were able to overcome everything with the help of the wedding planner.
Yeah. In the end, it was all fine. But coming from London, where everything is rush, didn't do that. I was on edge, especially thinking that, oh my God, the flowers were not sorted until like 2 days before the event.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, or even 1 day. So my heart was all over the place. But yeah.
I think destination wedding on its own, it's a whole new topic on its own, talking about destination wedding, but I'm glad you were able to overcome everything and you had a beautiful day. So yes. Well, thank you very much, both Mr. and Mrs. Rapley and Mr. and Mrs. Samuel. Thanks for taking your Saturday afternoon and spending it with me and with everyone on here, every bride and groom on here. I'm sure everyone in here has been able to take away one nugget of information today. So we've come to the end of the webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. So the next webinar is going to be on the 19th of December 2020. So like I said at the beginning, this is going to be a webinar series that I'm going to be running myself every month. I will be discussing, sharing nuggets around planning, wedding planning event. So the next one, the topic is going to be, should I hire a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator? Because that's one question that everybody gets asked. What's the difference in a wedding planner and a wedding coordinator? So on the 19th of December, we'll be discussing this. More details to follow on registration and how to join. So thank you all again. And if we have anyone on here, if you don't have a wedding planner, or if you're thinking of planning your wedding yourself, regardless, I'm still available to navigate your wedding planning challenges with you. So please do reach out on the contact I'm sharing on the screen now. My telephone number is there, my email address is there, Instagram page, any way you want to reach out, please do feel free to reach out anytime. And I'll be able to navigate those challenges with you.